responsibility to be a prophet to the nation concerning injustice, repression, and the unrighteousness that eventually causes a nation to provoke the judgment of God. One of the more stellar examples of this was the prophetic outcry from the Reverend William Wilberforce in 1759 to 1833. Working within the church, and previously Lord Shaftsbury from 1621 to 1683, crying out in the British House of Lords. These two men denouncing injustice on two different fronts over 2 centuries are due most of the credit for the British Parliament's outlawing the trading of slaves in England. The church must be careful not to undermine its prophetic ministry to the nation. About that William Wilberforce. So was he throwing stones when he criticized the church? Lord Shaftsbury, were they throwing stones when they were criticizing the British government for the slave trade? As I said earlier, what about Trevor Huddleston, etc., criticizing the nationalist government and the apartheid regime? And tell me this, what about Martin Luther? When Martin Luther, an ordinary monk, with no rank, if I'm correct, no ranks whatsoever, an ordinary monk, he challenged the Holy Roman Empire with his thesis. I think they call it the 95 thesis, and he went to the church doors in Wittenberg, Germany, and he nailed it to the church doors. And why he nailed it there, if I remember correctly, it was the church square, and that's where a lot of people, ordinary folk, would be able to go and see. It was like almost like, let's say, a newsstand. But so what about Martin Luther and the Pope? He challenged the Pope, the highest authority, an ordinary monk. Why can't you be like that, Christian? Why can't you be like that church leader? Why not? Why are you insistent on telling your congregation they need to be quiet? Why? What is it? Go and look at Martin Luther. Did Martin Luther keep quiet? He didn't keep quiet. And he didn't just challenge his local authority, he challenged the highest authority in his land, the Pope. You must know how much power the Pope had over kings. And I mean, many of those popes were very murderous, very murderous. The Pope, he put out an edict that anybody who found Martin Luther could kill him. Imagine that, imagine that. So Martin Luther knew this, and he stood up to them. The whole Holy Roman Empire, he stood up to them. One man filled with the Holy Spirit. One man filled with the Holy Spirit. He took on that whole evil empire. And he was actually kidnapped, if you know the whole story. He was kidnapped, but somebody by a benevolent people, forces, I can't remember who it was, that saved his life and hid him away from the murderous Pope. So just think about that, and then reconsider why you are controlling your congregation and ordering them to remain silent.